Hi, welcome to You,
Me,
and TV. I'm Mike.
I'm Gia.
And today we're going to be talking about our favorite Thanksgiving episodes of TV shows.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Hey, happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Look, if you're new to the podcast, welcome, first off.
Welcome.
Yeah, and you should go back and check out all of our old episodes. This is a bonus episode. Normally what we do is we take a look at first episodes of TV shows, and we kind of break them down. We can sort of go through the episode. We relate it to our own lives. We give some background information. It's a lot of fun. We talked about shows like Seinfeld, shows like, what else have we talked about?
Mad Men,
Veep, Parks and Recreation, and it's a lot of fun. We have a good time with it.
We do.
And we are releasing some of these bonus episodes here for the holidays. We talked about our favorite Halloween episodes last month. Next month, we're going to be talking about our favorite Christmas episodes. And then also, after that, we're going to talk about our favorite shows of the year, our favorite shows of 2019. That's going to be an exciting one.
Yeah, I'm
What are some
looking forward
shows
to
that you've been
it.
watching this year?
Oh man, Undone.
Oh, okay.
That was a
on
cool
Amazon?
one on Amazon.
All
that I
right.
don't think many people know about.
Check that out. That
Yeah.
might appear on one or
Might be on the
more
list.
of our lists. I've been watching I Think You Should Leave with Tim Robinson on Netflix. A little bit of a little sketch comedy in there.
It's an interesting show.
It's an interesting show. Look, I think, it was maybe one of the funniest shows of the year. Hey, who knows? But anyway, we're not talking about that today. We're talking about Thanksgiving.
Right.
Gia, Thanksgiving, what are your plans this year? You're my wife, by the way, in
Right.
case people don't know. I know what your plans are, but
Right.
we're just to let the listeners know a little bit, a peek behind the curtain.
Well, we have a little bit of a non-traditional plan, I would say, in that we're going to a restaurant for Thanksgiving.
It's an easy cleanup.
It's easy.
You're right there with all the Black Friday shopping that same night, which nothing crazy. It's just, we eat at this place. It's like in a mall, so not in a mall. It's a fun place.
It's like
It's
a
nice.
fancy
It's fancy.
outdoor mall.
Yeah.
But yeah, then nobody has to cook. Everybody can order what they want, which is nice for me because I'm a vegetarian, so I'm not into turkey.
Right,
But,
yeah. But
yeah.
the turkey they do serve there, delicious.
Yeah, and they've got good stuffing, mashed potatoes, stuff like that. So
That's right.
we're looking forward to it.
Everybody does Thanksgiving a little bit differently. And that leads us in to the first show that we're going to talk about
Ooh,
here.
yeah.
So look, this show it's known for its Thanksgiving episodes.
Yeah.
And this is a show that we've covered on the podcast.
We did the pilot episode.
We did do the pilot episode. And this episode that we're going to talk about, we had to pick, there was quite a few Thanksgiving ones to take a look at.
Yeah, we're talking about Friends. by
We
the way,
are talking
if you haven't
about
figured it out.
Friends. Yeah, and so this is going to be, the episode is titled The One with the Football, and it's season 3, episode 9.
Yeah.
Now, it originally aired November 21st, 1996, and of course, Friends, right now at least, is streaming on Netflix.
And it was kind of hard to pick which episode of Friends we were going to put on the list, but there were 2 that I was deciding between, and I think you liked this one because of the football aspect, so we went with this one.
Well, I'm not like a football fan, but this one always felt like the most iconic Friends Thanksgiving episode. Or maybe it's just the one that I mean, it's season 3, and when we've talked about Friends on the podcast before, it came out in 1994. We were pretty young, but by the time season 3 came around, I think I was watching it regularly, and it's not like you just go back and be like, hey, let's check out season 1 and, see what I missed. So this is probably where I jumped in on Friends. But I always thought it was fun. They're all just hanging out with their friends on Thanksgiving, and they're playing football. It's such a fun, it's football and Thanksgiving kind of go hand in hand, and I was just thought it was cool that they were all playing football together.
And they're doing it because it was like a tradition for the Gellers, Monica and Ross, when they were growing up, to play football against each other.
Yeah, and this one, I felt very relatable to it. Now, my family never went and did for sports or whatever. We didn't go play football on Thanksgiving, although I always, after watching this episode, I always thought it'd be fun to do something like that, which I guess we're not doing this year because we're going to a mall to go out to dinner. But we would always play games, though. Anytime we got the family together, we're playing board games
would do that too.
and that sort of thing. And the competitiveness.
Not like Settlers of Catan type games. It's more like we would play like Balderdash or like Trivial Pursuit, stuff like that.
Yeah. And I felt very relatable toward Monica and Ross.
Because they're so competitive.
They're so competitive.
Yeah.
So many of the things that they would say throughout the episode, it's like, those are the things that my brother and I would say. Not exactly, but like there's a scene where Monica says like, oh, it's third down, and she's on an opposing team from Ross, and Ross is like, oh, third down. It's actually second down, and she's like, oh, okay, whatever. He's like, no, have your third down. It's fine if you want to win that way, you know.
It is very similar to the way you and your brother are with each other.
I don't think that my brother or I cheat when we play games, but I think both of us, and I'll admit to it, we sort of, you know, we don't bend the rules, but if there seems to be an opening for interpretation of the rules, or if it's like this rule was never clarified, so I'm just going to do it this way, there's definitely gaming the system when we're playing.
Yeah, and there's an understanding in your family, I think, that it's best if you and your brother are on the same team.
Except for the fact that we always win when we're on the same team. This is true.
I don't think that's accurate, but when I met, I don't know if you remember, but when I first met all your family, it was a game night.
It's often a game night. It is.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's good stuff.
Yeah.
You know, this one too, they've also got the Geller Trophy. Is that what it's called? The Geller Cup. The Geller Cup. And I think that's a fun thing.
It's a troll doll nailed to a 2x4.
Right. Everybody else is like looking at it like, do you guys also see a troll doll nailed to a 2x4? So yeah, the Friends, the one with the football. Do you want to say anything else about that episode?
Just that I most relate to Rachel in the episode.
Oh, Rachel,
who,
yeah.
Has not played football before, has no interest in it, doesn't know how it's played.
They keep telling her to just go along.
Yeah. At one point she like goes down the street and gets a pretzel. That's probably what I would do.
But this one too, I noticed also what's going on. There's like a side plot that this Dutch woman is watching them all play, and Joey and Chandler are sort of competing for her attention. So we've got that going on too. It's a fun little side plot.
Yeah.
I do think that Joey definitely comes off much cooler and attractive compared to Chandler in this scene.
Oh yeah, for sure. Although I'm gonna go on a limb and say that Ross is the one I find most attractive of the three guys on
Well,
Friends.
that's true. Although Ross was not going after this woman right there.
No, because he and Rachel are together at this point.
Are they together or are they on a break right there?
No, they're together.
Okay, just checking.
They're together.
It's important to clarify.
It is. And, you know, this is the first episode on our list, but not the last episode that has football in it. So is football like a Thanksgiving thing?
Well, there's always like a football game on Thanksgiving.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So an NFL game.
Okay.
Yeah. And just like on New Year's Day, there's college football. So
yes,
football
that's
and
definitely
Thanksgiving.
something I know about.
Oh my gosh. You know, speaking of all that too, we do have a lot of listeners around the world. You know, when I go check the stats on there, I see all of our listeners in Canada and in
Australia.
the UK and Australia. So shout out to all of them. I don't know how much they know about American Thanksgiving around the world, but
mostly you get together with family and you eat.
yeah. And when we talk about football, for those around the world, we're talking about, you know, American football. I know there's a lot of listeners here in America, but it's a shout out to those around the world as well. You know, I did think it'd be a confusing episode if you were like, what's Thanksgiving?
Is it kind of a humble brag that we have listeners around the world?
It might be a little bit.
I like how you snuck that in.
Hey, you know what? I love it. It's good stuff. Hey, speaking of friends that are celebrating some Thanksgiving, let's go to the next episode. This one centers, or the next show, I guess. This centers around a group of friends celebrating Thanksgiving as well, which again, Thanksgiving, typically you're with your family and all that. Friendsgiving is for the night before, for the weekend before or something.
Right.
But let's talk about New Girl.
Yeah, this is season 1, episode 6. The episode title is Thanksgiving.
Very creative.
First aired November 15th, 2011. And it's streaming on Netflix right now.
Yeah, and this is such a great episode. This is the first Thanksgiving episode that they do, and because it's from the first season. I think they did one. I don't know if they did one every year, but those New Girl episodes, Thanksgiving episodes, are fairly. I guess not, I don't know if they're iconic in the way the Friends ones are, but they were always great.
Yeah,
we had to decide between a few.
And there was a little bit of a dispute. I would have picked a different episode, but
you
I do like
picked
this one too.
The Parent Trap episode.
I would have picked Parent Trap
with Rob Reiner and Jamie Lee Curtis. Yeah. So, but this is the first one. You've got I don't want to say a breakthrough performance from Justin Long, who has a guest starring role, a recurring guest starring role, I guess, on New Girl. But it's not a breakthrough performance because we already knew Justin Long was fantastic, but he's so good in this episode.
Yeah, and this episode opens in a fun way with a play at the school where Jess is working. she and Justin Long's character are working together. They're also dating.
And I believe they wrote the play, too.
Yeah, they wrote this Thanksgiving play. It's like a musical.
How's the song start off? Do you remember?
The first day in November is the day we remember. Or something. Yes. I guess I want to be the first day. I don't know. Something like that.
Something like that. But I know, too, that I don't remember if it was Justin Long's character recently went through a breakup, or I think that's what it was.
It was his grandma died.
Okay, because he had written the Halloween musical, too, and they do a cutaway.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, do we start dying the moment we are born? Yeah. That's good stuff. I really do enjoy this Thanksgiving episode with all of them. And again, New Girl, if you're unfamiliar, first off, check it out. The whole thing's on Netflix right now.
Yeah.
And we did an episode on it on the podcast as well. And but the premise behind this one is that they want to have a real low-key Thanksgiving. The guys, Nick and Schmidt and Winston. And Jess had agreed to that, but then I guess... I don't know if Justin Long's character she just like invited him over because
he normally spent Thanksgiving with his grandma,
and
but
she's
she
dead
died.
now, and she's kind of got a crush on him. Jess does,
yes,
and so she invites him over, and all of a sudden they've got to have this big fancy Thanksgiving. Nick not loving it. This is a good episode too because you see the beginnings between Schmidt and Cece and their relationship.
Well, I think Schmidt has had a crush on Cece from the beginning, but Cece is starting to realize that she's into Schmidt as well in this episode.
What she really likes about him too is his sort of his neurotic ways about cooking, and how he sort of takes control when he's in there. And Schmidt's a cool guy. A lot of people say that I remind them of Schmidt.
Yep.
So I will take that.
That's true.
But yeah, this is an excellent episode. It's real fun to see Nick and how he interacts with Justin Long's character. I wish I remember what Justin Long's character's name was, but you know what? I don't. But I will say that the New Girl will probably come back when we're talking about Christmas episodes too, because this same season has a good episode, and I think Justin Long is in it too.
Oh, that's true.
We'll see, but I do enjoy it. Anything else about New Girl, Gia?
I think that's it.
Hey, let's move on. Another one. With these all kind of have a theme here right now to start off. These are all friends celebrating Thanksgiving together.
Yep.
And this is another show, not as popular as a show, but Happy Endings.
Yeah, one of our all-time favorites.
One of our all-time favorites. When we were practicing to make this podcast, we did our first episode was Happy Endings, which we had posted for a while, but I think we took it down. But Happy Endings, another show about some young people living in the city.
And we covered it in our Halloween episodes.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Podcast too.
Oh, gosh, we love this show so much.
Yeah, but this
is season 3, episode 4. The episode title, more like Stanksgiving, and aired November 20th, 2012, and it's available on Hulu right now. Yeah, so Gia, explain sort of what the premise is behind this episode.
Okay, so in this episode, we find out that these 6 friends that we've been following actually became a group of friends when 2 of them were contestants on The Real World.
Yes.
The MTV show The Real World.
And it's an unaired season.
Yeah, because one of the roommates had burned down the
house, yeah.
I think they said it's a converted firehouse that they were living in that season, and they burnt it down or something like
and
that.
And Adam Pally's character, Max, has just received the DVD from MTV of the season, so they're all going to watch it on Thanksgiving.
So Max and Brad were both contestants on that season.
There's a fun line, too.
That's when everybody else met Brad, right?
Yes.
Because everyone was already friends with Max.
I think so, yeah. And there's a fun line in there where Penny is like, it's weird. Isn't it weird that this whole group's genesis all started here on The Real World, and yet we've never mentioned it before?
Yeah.
Just kind of, I think that's a fun little thing they did in there.
Yeah, for sure. And so they're getting together for Thanksgiving dinner, but they're also going to watch the DVD of this season of The Real World. Alex and Dave are hosting Thanksgiving dinner, and Dave is really leaning into his heritage
his
as
Navajo.
1/16 Navajo, I think he says, which is fun. Jane is the neurotic character in
Right.
this show. And in
Yes.
New Girls, we had Schmidt.
There you go. You always got a neurotic character.
In Friends, we have Monica.
Oh,
These are
right.
characters who are like...
And we'll see it later
it
on
has
in
to be
another
done this
episode,
way,
too,
you
of
know?
something else. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a recurring theme.
There's some really fun stuff going on in this episode with Dave's character because he's 1/16th Navajo, and he's real over the top about it. And there's like some fun stuff where he ends up trading a jacket for a blanket. I don't want to go into all the details of why, but the blanket is like he's allergic to cat hair and it's got cat hair all over it. It's like a reference to giving smallpox blankets to Native Americans and things like that. So there's, I don't want to say, I guess, fun little jokes, but it's, they're fun little, pointing out how silly Dave is, though, too.
Yeah.
It's very silly.
But Happy Endings, if you haven't seen it, is a very silly show. And this is a
very
fun
silly
episode of it.
And is there anything else they want to say about it?
No, I think we covered the
I think
main
people
points.
people should watch it though if they haven't. That's because not enough people talk about happy endings.
They don't. But the people who do talk about it really love it, and we are those people.
And here we are talking about it. This is the second or third time that we've done it. So now let's shift gears a little bit here. And we've been talking about some friends having some Thanksgiving dinners. We've been talking about some new girls having some Thanksgiving dinners. We've been talking about some happy endings having some Thanksgiving dinners. See what I did there?
Yeah.
Let's take a trip back to the 1990s. Where they made shows that were set in the 1970s.
Ooh, let's do it.
Let's do it. That 70s show, another show that we've talked about on this podcast before. I'm sensing a theme that we really love all these shows.
Yeah, we're pushing them hard.
We are pushing them hard. That 70s show. Now, I think they've probably had a few Thanksgiving episodes.
I think there are 3 Thanksgiving episodes.
And we're going to...
This is definitely the best one.
This one, it's the first one. It's season 1, episode 9. And the episode title is Thanksgiving. It aired November 22nd, 1998. Oh, my goodness. And it is currently streaming on Netflix. I probably watched this one live. I probably watched this one like the night it aired. I would imagine. 1998, I was 12 years old. Oh, man. It's good stuff.
It is good stuff.
That's good
so what's
stuff.
going on in this episode?
So in this episode, you've got a few things going on. You've got Eric Foreman. His older sister is coming back from college for Thanksgiving.
Lori.
Yes, and Lori brings a friend home with her.
Yeah.
Because if you live really far away, sometimes you would go to a friend's house for Thanksgiving.
Right.
That was never the case with us, but we went to college right here in Ohio, so but we never had like friends that lived. But I suppose if we had a friend that lived in like
I did give someone a ride home for Thanksgiving once.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
And but anyway, so that friend is coming with Lori to stay with the Foremans. There's some tension there, some sexual tension between Eric Foreman and that college friend there. But Eric Foreman is sort of dating Donna.
Yeah.
So there's some, they're not like official, I don't think, but they're like kind of dating.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then also you've got some conflict with, I guess it's Red's mom.
Yeah.
And she's coming for Thanksgiving, and she keeps calling.
Yeah, and she's played by the mom from Happy Days. What's her name in real life?
I have no idea.
I forget.
But
it's the mom.
She's
from
not
Happy
actually
Days.
in this episode, though, is she?
I don't think we see her in this episode, but we see her in other episodes.
Right. Yeah. But I love this episode. There's like fun stuff going on. There's when the college girl's like trying to kiss Eric, and he is like cycling through his mind all the things to like
try to keep himself from getting too excited.
Exactly. That's a fun scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, I love that 70s show.
It's really good.
I think that, aside from the friend coming home from college and that whole plot, I feel like that 70s show Thanksgiving is like very relatable as like how Thanksgiving goes. I know typically when we would do Thanksgiving it'd be with like a lot of family, but I feel like there was a few years where it was just like, oh, we don't really have too many plans. It's just like maybe a couple people coming over and we're just eating here at the house.
But still everybody's kind of stressed out.
Everybody's still kind of stressed out because you have to make a really fancy dinner for some reason. Yeah, and they end up forgetting the grandma in this one.
Yeah.
Gosh, oh man, I love me some That 70s Show.
Yep.
Some Red Foreman. Oh, good. Should we move on to the next one?
Yeah, next is another family episode.
It is, but it is a show that we've not talked about, but it's a show that everybody should check out. And even just check out this episode. If you've never seen the show, this is a fun episode. It's a good stuff. Did you enjoy it? I haven't said what it is yet.
Yeah, and this is a show that I don't watch. I think this is the only episode I've ever seen.
Well, we're keeping it here on the Fox Network, and we're going to talk about King of the Hill. Episode title, Happy Hanksgiving. This is season 4, episode 7, aired November 21st, 1999, and King of the Hill, the whole series, currently streaming on Hulu. So in this episode, this is one of the, this is like I guess a common trope, a stuck at the airport episode. They're trying to travel to visit Peggy's family, Hank's wife, Peggy's family for Thanksgiving. They live in Montana, traveling from Dallas, and there's some flight delays and shenanigans occur, I guess.
Yeah.
And this episode, I like this one a lot. Okay, what were you've never watched King of the Hill before, right?
No.
I mean, you've kind of seen it maybe a little bit.
Yeah, but I didn't watch it.
What were your impressions of King of the Hill after watching this?
I thought it was funny. I enjoyed it. I was trying to figure out what the relationship between the one girl is and the rest of the family. What's her name?
Luann. I don't remember.
Because I had always assumed it was their daughter.
Right.
But then she was like calling him Uncle Hank. But then they at one point said something about her not being really in their family.
Yeah, I really don't remember. And this is season 4, so I'm sure they explained it earlier on. But yeah, I guess I knew it wasn't their daughter, but I don't really remember why she lives with them.
Maybe we'll have to do the pilot of this at some point.
Maybe we will. There's some fun lines in this one too. I like there's a line where Peggy, they're talking about, traveling and stuff, and she says, the day before Thanksgiving is, in my opinion, one of the busiest travel days of the year. And I love that just straightforward, I don't know what that, like, unaware of, because it is the most busiest travel day of the year. Yeah. So that, in my opinion, is just such a fun little add-on there to that line.
I liked how she kept talking about how she had to make like a brown Betty for Thanksgiving, and it sounded like no one else was like excited.
Yeah, nobody wanted the brown Betty.
And she was like annoyed at having to make it, but also she wanted to make it. You could tell she wanted to make it.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what a brown Betty was. I had to Google it.
What is a brown Betty?
It sounds delicious. It's like a crumb cake, and you can make it with like apples or peaches. I would make it with apples if I were making it for myself. Apples are much better than peaches.
In this episode, too, you've got Hank Hill, who is a propane salesman. And he like makes the turkey ahead of time, and he's like going to take it on the airplane over there. Ends up getting ruined eventually. Actually, I think the dogs come after it, the TSA dogs or whatever, and they think it's a bomb because they're barking at it because it's food. But I think Hank wants to bring a propane tank on the airplane. And they're like, you can't bring that on the airplane. I think that's fun.
We have another show featuring a propane tank later on.
Oh, yeah. Is it the next show?
Yeah.
Hey, let's just go to it. I love the diverse nature of all these shows here, too, because we're going to shift gears a little bit to some that Gia was like, these are some of my favorites. Let's get these in here. So, Gia, tell us about the next one.
The next one is Gilmore Girls. The episode title is A Deep Fried Korean Thanksgiving. Season 3, Episode 9, first aired November 26, 2002, and you can find it streaming on Netflix right now.
Gilmore Girls, another episode or another show that we've talked about on the podcast. Talked about the pilot.
I love Gilmore Girls.
You do. And I watched this one with you as well, and it's a nice episode. And before we get too much into the episode, one thing with these Thanksgiving episodes, I think that just the nature of Thanksgiving, it's families getting together. It's all relatable experiences, pretty much no matter what.
Yeah,
and
that makes it nice.
I think all of these episodes are, good starting points. If you've not watched any of these shows and you're like, you know what, I want to get in the Thanksgiving spirit. What should I watch? All of these shows, you can just check it out and say like, okay, I don't know everything that's going on, but I'm getting a feel for the rhythm of the show.
All the characters, because they're definitely going to see all the characters on the holiday.
Because, when we do our pilot episodes that we talk about, sometimes it's like, this was good, but I don't think it really captures the spirit of the show.
That's true.
And I feel like these Thanksgiving episodes...
sometimes there are characters who come to play a big role in it who aren't even in the pilot.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So, I feel like, if you're not a Gilmore Girls fan, but you just want to check out some some early 2000s Thanksgiving. Is it early 2000s? Yeah, 2002.
Yes,
That's
it
what we
is.
said. Yeah. It takes me back. And but tell us a little bit about this episode.
So this is a pretty relatable plot, I think, in that Lorelai and Rory have multiple Thanksgivings they need to go to.
It's a Four Christmases situation.
A Four Christmases situation. Classic Four Christmases situation, except with Thanksgivings.
And no Vince Vaughn.
No Vince Vaughn.
Does Vince Vaughn ever appear on this show?
I don't think so.
It's a bummer.
John Hamm does.
John Hamm does.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man. Not on this episode.
No. But so the Gilmore Girls, they've got to get to 4 different Thanksgiving dinners. They've got to go to Richard and Emily's, the grandparents. They've got to go to Luke's to have dinner with Luke and his nephew Jess. They've got to go to Lane Kim's house. And they've got to go to Suki's house, and that's where the propane tank comes in.
Hey, look at that, deep
her
frying.
Her husband is deep frying the turkey.
I've never had a deep fried turkey.
I certainly haven't.
It looked like a lot of fun. They were all like
it looks dangerous,
hollering, and like they were out in the yard doing it. It looked like a good time. Now, have you ever had to do multiple Thanksgivings? I feel like I have maybe a couple times, and it's always like awkward at the last one, because I think one time I remember eating Thanksgiving, and then we went to some family's house, and like they had already had Thanksgiving, but the food was still all out, so we ate some food, but it was like,
I feel like it happened a lot when we were first dating, that we would be like, we would have dinner at our own house and then go to the other one's house for a while.
Oh, right. When we lived with our parents.
And for me, multiple holidays have always been a thing because my parents are divorced, so it's always like there's a lot of places you gotta stop by. And then, I'm with you, and now there's like a bunch, even more places we got to go. So
now, what's our stance on the multiple Thanksgivings? Is it good? Is it bad? What do we think about it?
It's stressful.
It is stressful,
and it's difficult to eat that much.
It's hard to eat it. I don't need to eat turkey twice. I feel like we've gone, and I don't know if it was on Thanksgiving. I feel like we've had Thanksgiving, but then like gone to like your mom's house and had like maybe pasta or something like that.
Yeah,
it's possible.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think multiple turkey meals in one day, it's a little much.
Yeah, and it comes up for us more on Christmas, I think, where we actually have multiple pieces.
That's true,
in
but
one
those
day.
aren't centered around food. Those are centered around present. That's a little more exciting.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, food is exciting, but 2 giant meals? No, thank you.
True. I think there's a line in this episode of Gilmore Girls, like the day before Thanksgiving, where I think Rory is like, maybe we should skip our dinner or like not eat a ton today so that we are better able to eat tomorrow. And Laura's lie is like unnecessary, and they just have a big meal then too, which I think captures the spirit of Gilmore Girls nicely.
I think so. At least
and it's
from
also
what I've
I
seen.
would do.
Yeah?
And then regret it.
You just got to eat it all.
Yeah.
Eat everything. I wonder how much they actually ate in any of those scenes. Wow, we were listening. Well, I was listening, but you separately, I guess, were also listening to the Office podcast, Office Ladies.
I was just thinking that.
And they were talking about eating that ice cream cake, and how like they took big bites, some of them, and then they regretted it because they had to do that every time they did the shot. Yeah, and they just went through all of that ice cream cake.
Which is something I'd never thought about when you're making a TV show. Is there's multiple takes, so when you're eating something, you have to keep eating it in the same way over and over again.
I do remember I worked on like a short film, student film in college, and I remember like there was an eating scene, and it was a lot of pushing food around and that sort of thing. It does seem stressful to eat all that food in one scene. So
stressful and awesome at the same time.
Yeah, depending. Ice cream cake, I don't know about that. Turkey,
that's not for
maybe
me.
A little bit of green beans, mashed potatoes, that sort of thing. But yeah, I enjoyed this episode as well. You also have who's in this episode? Adam Brody has a little bit of a role. I guess he must add a story arc.
He does. Yeah, he's Lane's boyfriend for a while.
Yeah,
Dave Rogowski.
There you go.
Before he left to be on the OC.
I like the part where he was, I guess, because Lane is very religious, and
her parents are.
Right. Lane is cool. Not that you can't be cool and religious, I guess, but
she is not.
Right. And but she I guess fools her parents into thinking that Adam Brody's character is like a religious musician, and he's gonna come play religious music for them. And then they're like, "Can you play him whatever?" And he starts playing, and it's "The Man Who Sold the World" by was that by David Bowie? But
think
also
so.
Nirvana did it too. And I thought that was kind of a cool little thing because they don't even say, you have to know the song, but I think later they do play it in the background or whatever. But that's kind of cool.
It's a really good show.
It always has that cool music. They're always talking about music in a cool way on that show. So it is the Gilmore Girls, but people like it. And
I like it.
I enjoyed it. And let's talk about another show that you picked specifically and really enjoy, and another one that we've talked about on the podcast,
and another Lauren Graham classic. Parenthood. It is titled Happy Thanksgiving, season 2, episode 10. First aired November 23rd, 2010, and it's currently available on Hulu.
Yes. So this is we're getting the whole Braverman family together on this one, plus some. And then some. We've got Dax Shepard's character's girlfriend.
I think it's
baby
his
mama?
girlfriend
Is
at
baby
this
mama
point.
the right word?
But her mom's going to be joining them.
She's very strict.
Joining the Bravermans. She's very religious and very kind of strict.
She kind of gives me a vibe of someone we'll see in another episode later on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So it's kind of like an extended families coming together, all the stress of preparing the meals. Again, we've got another kind of type A character dealing with the stress of Thanksgiving meal prep, and that's Julia Braverman on this show.
Is that the swim fan?
The swim fan,
okay.
Making the pies. Yeah. We've got teenagers who want to just leave and go do their own thing on Thanksgiving, which I think comes up a lot.
Oh, man. I used to go, I feel like, I don't know, maybe I would hang out with my friends. I guess it was the night before Thanksgiving, which I guess that's a thing. Everybody hangs out with their friends the night before Thanksgiving. But I do remember that, like in college and stuff, being, I think sometimes
everyone's
even
in town, everybody's home.
Yeah, and I would always like sleep over at my friend's house too. I don't remember if we ended up sleeping over on Thanksgiving or not, but it was always like, next day's Thanksgiving, I gotta get home. But yeah, everyone's in town. It's a good time. Everybody's got the day off. Well, like school from the day off or whatever. I don't know. You probably usually worked when you were working the day before Thanksgiving, though, right?
Yep.
It's a bummer, and the day after too sometimes. Yep. Ooh, yikes.
Yeah, we're not all teachers.
Hey, it is what it is. But this Parenthood episode, did anything stand out as very relatable or anything like that? What could we say about this Parenthood episode?
I would say trying to figure out the seating situation.
That could be tough.
Where you're trying to figure out you've got different families kind of coming together, and where are you going to put everybody so that everybody has a nice time.
Now, so I don't know if I watched this episode the whole way through when we were watching it back. They pick out where everybody's seating ahead of time.
Yes.
See, I think that's a bad
they've
strategy.
They've got like little place cards.
Oh, you got to stop that. That's not, what you do? You set up a buffet. So if you got a lot of people and you just let people find their place, you let them sit down wherever, you let somebody sit at the head of the table, maybe you designate that, but aside from that, no, you let them figure it out. You can have a kids table if you need one, but sometimes people could be on the couch. Nobody wants to have Thanksgiving dinner on the couch, but hey, if you're all there having a good time, it is what it is.
Yeah, I know we've got in this episode Julia's daughter, the little girl who doesn't want to eat the food that her mom spent a lot of time trying to make, and just wants to eat like a packet of like baby food essentially, which I found relatable because that's pretty much how every mealtime is around here with our baby right now.
I think so. Yeah. I think so.
And then so the first episode, or the first half of this episode, I would say, is all kind of about the Thanksgiving meal, and then the second half, after the meal, they go play football, like in the Friends episode.
Okay.
So you got kind of both sides to this, and again, it gets pretty competitive.
Speaking of TV shows where they play football, this is not one of the shows on our list because I don't think you can watch it anywhere. So, but there was a show, this was 3 years ago, and it was streaming on the Go 90 app, which was something that Verizon was doing. It was a bunch of weird stuff was on there, but it was a show called Thanksgiving, and it's not on our list because I've been looking for it and I can't find it anywhere.
Yeah, it was a whole show. It was like 6 episodes. It was like
6 episodes, and it took place all on Thanksgiving, and it starred Chris Elliott and his daughter. I think might have wrote it. Brody Elliott, is that right? Is that the right name?
I don't know.
It's something like that. But Chris Elliott from, he's been in lots of stuff. Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
Overboard. Is he on Overboard? Who am I thinking of?
No.
Chris Elliott. You know what?
I know who Chris Elliott is, but I don't know if he's an Overboard.
I don't know. He's in something where he's like on a boat. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
in my head, I always get confused between him and Daniel Stern. So like I try to think like which
they
one of
do
them
give
is in
off similar
Bushwhacked?
vibes. That's Daniel Stern.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, though, I was just thinking about it because I think they play football in that, and I think they have a trophy or something like that in too. So anyway, hey, if you're listening and you also watched the show Thanksgiving when it aired on the Go 90 app 3 years ago, give us a little shout out.
We're the only two people who watched that.
Dude, that show was hilarious. I loved it. It was wacky and silly, and hey.
And it was like it was airing in 2016.
It came out like November 14th or something like that.
Like right after the 2016 election, and
they talked about Donald Trump winning the election, and it
so
was like,
did
when
they
did
know
they?
ahead of time?
And it felt like it was like
they were making it.
It was a fairly big part of the episode too.
Yeah.
Like,
or did they shoot two
maybe they
different
shot
versions?
two different ones?
I don't know, but I
why?
was impressed that they were able to have that happen.
Oh man.
Yeah.
What a cool show.
Yeah, try to find that. It was good.
If you can find that, send me a link because I want to watch it.
Yeah.
But let's get back to shows that you definitely can watch. And our next show, Fuller House.
Yeah.
What? Fuller House? Wait, did we talk about Full House on the podcast?
We did. We talked about Full House.
We've talked
but
about
not
like
Fuller
all these
House.
things almost.
Yeah.
So Fuller House, the episode title, Fuller Thanksgiving. This is season 2, episode 6. It was released on December 9th, 2016. And Fuller House is a Netflix original, currently streaming on Netflix. And Fuller House is not a show that I watch. This is admittedly the only episode I've ever watched. But I love it.
Yeah, and if you're not familiar with Fuller House, what it is it's the reboot of Full House. A reboot or sequel?
I think you often call those a revival or maybe a sequel series. Sure.
Yeah, so it's the characters from Full House, and now they're grown up. Living in the same house.
And DJ lives in the house. She's got her own kids. She's got her own relationships. There's some characters that if you just like go and watch this show without watching the rest of it, you'll be like, I don't know who these people are, but I can pick up on it pretty quickly.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say it's a great show. I think it's a nice show for kids and families, but it is fun if you grew up watching Full House. It is fun to see these characters again and see them as adults.
It really is.
And in particular, the Thanksgiving episode is a nice one because this is one where you've got all of the extended cast except for the Olsen twins.
Right.
Coming back. You've got Danny and Uncle Jesse and Aunt Becky and Joey all coming back, coming over for Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So that's nice.
I felt like this show best represented what Thanksgiving was really like, at least for me. Family coming over. It's kind of awkward, but it's also kind of fun, kind of silly.
You get to see people that you don't see all the time, but that you care about.
Yeah. Also, everybody's stressed out.
Yes.
There's a fun line after DJ's getting really stressed out. I think it's either Stephanie or Kimmy, I can't remember, says to her, just remember, family is the reason why we celebrate Thanksgiving. Don't let your family ruin that.
Which is a nice way to think about all holidays. I
think. It really is. It's always like you're always so excited, and then you spend the day with your family, and you're just like, God, my family is just the worst. Yeah. And it's just like, but it's like everybody's feeling this.
Our family is great. Our family is the best.
That made it sound like I don't like our family, but
we do.
all
families are stressful.
Yeah. No, yeah, don't take that the wrong way, Mom.
Yeah.
She's not listening.
She might, if she remembers how to listen, she might do it.
That's true.
Yeah.
My brother's probably listening.
Yeah.
I hope he is.
I hope so.
Oh, man. What was I going to say? This episode, too, some other fun stuff. Joey, who was always the comedian, he shows up to Thanksgiving with his 4 kids, and their names are Jerry, Lewis, Phyllis, and Joan, named after, I'm assuming, Jerry Lewis and Phyllis Diller and Joan Rivers, all comedians, which I think is a really cool, nice touch there. This is really cool with all the characters coming back. I think it's a lot of fun, and if you are a fan of Full House, this is something, I mean, it's just like you're watching a Full House episode, really, and you're seeing all these characters.
And I don't remember if there are Thanksgiving episodes of Full House, the original Full House. I don't remember either. I would guess that there probably are, but we went with the Fuller House episode because I think it is a fun way to see these characters again.
I think so too.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's take a look at our next episode, Gia. And this one, it's a lot different, I think, than the other ones.
It's still funny.
It's still funny,
but it's kind of poignant.
It is. It's so good. This show, man, 2 seasons, and I wish there were more. We
another
are talking
Netflix
about
original.
Another Netflix original, another show that we've talked about on the podcast. I didn't realize we've talked about all these shows, I think, except for King of the Hill.
Yeah,
wow.
I think so.
We
and
really
Happy
need
Endings, because that was our lost.
That's true.
Episode.
Yes, we really need to branch out, though, I think, a little bit.
Yeah, we'll try.
We'll try. But the show we're talking about here, Master of None. Episode title, Thanksgiving. Some people have said this is probably the best episode of the whole series. That's what I've heard. You know, when it came out, it was like, people were like, wow, that's the episode.
It's pretty great.
It's season 2, episode 8. It was released on May 12th, 2017. It's a Netflix original. So this one, we see Thanksgiving through the years. It starts off where Dev, played by Aziz Ansari, is a little kid. He is with, what's his name?
Denise.
His friend Denise.
Played by Lena Waithe.
I think that's how you pronounce it. Yeah. And he spends Thanksgiving with her family every year.
Although not played by them at this point because they're child actors. But we're seeing them as kids.
In my
90s.
opinion, you could have had Aziz play that role. He's a very small man.
Yeah. And so we see kind of the origins of this tradition where Dev spends Thanksgiving with Denise's family. And her family consists of her and her mom and her, who's a single mom, and her aunt and her grandma.
Right.
And Dev's family doesn't really celebrate Thanksgiving, so he starts going over to their house for it. And we kind of see how we see several Thanksgivings over the years leading up through, I think, 2017. And we see how Denise at one point comes out to her mom and to her family as a lesbian. And we see how that kind of changes the family dynamic over the years and how things kind of shift the relationship between her and her mom. And there's tension at one point, and it eventually gets resolved a little bit.
Yeah, it's a really I guess a powerful episode.
It's powerful. It's very touching, very emotional, but also funny at the same time.
It is. Aziz has some great lines.
Yeah.
I don't want to get into all of it, but at one point Denise is dating somebody who is, I guess, not as impressive she brings somebody very impressive one year, and the family's like not into it because they're so angry that she's a lesbian and not accepting of that. And so the next year she just brings some, real hot girl, but is very I guess kind of a, I don't know, they call her
kind of a wild card.
Kind of a wild card. I think they do call her a thought on the episode there. If you're unfamiliar with those slang terms, I think they say it means that hoe over there. And she's got a funny Instagram name. Nipples and Toes 23.
Yeah.
And there's Aziz he does this bit where he keeps asking her what it is and how do you spell it and all that kind of stuff.
He wants her to just keep repeating that Instagram name in front of Denise's family. And he also points out how weird it is that there were 22 other Nipples and Toes Instagram names that were taken. And there's another part that I thought was really funny where it's like very tense at the Thanksgiving table, and Denise's grandma can't really hear much. She doesn't hear very well because she's pretty old, and so things are really tense, but Aziz is just kind of like shouting questions at her so that she can hear. And then
I think it's Denise's aunt, played by the mom from Sister,
yes.
who's hilarious.
We love her.
I don't know what her name is, and we should look it up sometime, but everything she's in, she's so funny.
Yeah.
But she just like shouts at him to stop asking questions. She's great. And I think that Denise's mom is played by Angela Bassett. Is that right? Yeah. Who's beautiful, by the way.
Yeah, she is.
Throw that out there.
Yeah.
I'm always talking about hot guys on this podcast. I feel like I should mention some hot ladies as well.
Yeah.
Which she was giving me the vibes of Dax's mother-in-law or whatever. I guess they're not married, but
very like kind of strict and buttoned up.
right? And very traditional,
Yeah.
and that sort of thing. So, but yeah, this Master of None episode, Thanksgiving, it's just fantastic.
It'll make you cry. It made me cry.
It made you cry?
Yeah, it did.
It is sad. I mean, it's happy too, but there's
Bittersweet, I think.
Bittersweet, sure.
Yeah.
Well, here's an episode that won't make you cry. It might make you laugh till you cry. And this is another show that we've talked about on the podcast.
Yeah,
and this is
but
not...
But I had actually forgotten that there was a Thanksgiving episode of this.
I had forgotten too, and we went back and we watched this, and I laughed so much. Such a good episode. They're all good episodes, though. We're talking about Seinfeld. The episode title, The Mom and Pop Store. This is season 6, episode 8. It aired November 17th, 1994. Seinfeld, the whole series, currently streaming on Hulu, guys. You know, look, I know there's a lot of buzz about things like Disney Plus, things like whatever HBO Max is going to be. But I tell you what, Apple TV. Actually, there hasn't been that much buzz about that. I don't know anybody who's watching Apple TV, and however you can find that and watch it, to watch that boring news show with Steve Carell, maybe. But yeah, Facebook Watch, also a real weird, hard thing to find, although we did start watching a show on there. But anyway, though, Hulu. The whole series is streaming. Isn't that all you need is every episode of Seinfeld?
It is pretty great.
This episode, there's kind of there's a lot of different things going on, and they all come back together at the end.
Yeah.
It's very much
as like any episode of Seinfeld.
Right, yeah.
But it's always so impressive to me the way they're able to tie things in.
I love it.
Together in a way that's just hilarious.
Yeah, and they're all so in this one we've got what Jerry's wants, I forget what Kramer wants to help out this mom and pop store by giving them some business so they could fix Jerry's shoes or something like that. That's what's going on with the mom and pop store. He ends up getting them closed down. It's the whole thing. Another side plot is that everybody wants to go to Tim Watley's party.
Yeah, that's the real Thanksgiving thing that's happening, is that Tim Watley,
played by
their dentist friend, played by Bryan Cranston, who is from Breaking Bad and also is the dad on Malcolm in the Middle.
Yes.
But first he was Tim Watley on Seinfeld, who's kind of like, I would characterize him as like a frenemy of Jerry's.
Yes, yeah.
They're friends, but it's like Jerry seems like kind of competitive with him, and like they don't like each other that much. And Tim Watley is having a day before Thanksgiving party, right?
Yeah. Side note, while we're thinking about that, do we think that he's based off of like Ted Danson? Knowing how Curb Your Enthusiasm works.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
Oh, that's fun. But yeah, Tim
point.
Watley is his apartment overlooks where the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade is.
Yeah.
And so he's having a party while they inflate the balloons or whatever.
Yeah. And Tim Watley has called his friend Jerry to get the phone numbers for Elaine and for Kramer, I think, so that he can invite them to his party.
But he never makes it clear if Jerry's invited or not.
Yeah, so that's what's kind of going on with Jerry, is he's trying to figure out, is he invited? Should he go to this party?
He ends up going.
He does end up going, and it's awkward.
It's real awkward.
Yeah, another thing that's going on in this episode is that George has bought a new car. And he bought it because
it was owned by
John Voight.
John Voight, yeah.
That's what the car dealer tells him.
Which is weird because when I read the info for this episode, that's what it was. Like, it was George buys a car that was formerly owned by John Voight. Yeah. And I was like, well, I remember that episode. I don't remember a Thanksgiving episode.
Yeah.
But it is very Thanksgiving-y.
Yeah. And I mean, I know who John Voight is, but I don't know a ton about him other than that he's Angelina Jolie's father.
Right, yeah.
So that's how I think of him. But I
well,
guess
he was in Midnight Cowboy, which they spoof a lot in this.
Yeah.
He's also, I think, a very outspoken Republican. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay.
I think.
Okay.
Yeah. So I could be thinking of Clint Eastwood, but I think I might just be both of them. I'm not sure.
So that's the reason that George has bought the car that he buys, and but it's a little unclear if it's actually John Voight, the actor's car he's got, because he finds the old title of the car in the glove compartment, and John is spelled with an H, whereas John Voight, the actor, does not have an H.
The funny scene that really made me laugh a lot was when he finds that he's in the car with Jerry, and George is like, well, maybe he spelled his name wrong. I forget what Jerry says now, but Jerry says, "Oh yeah, maybe I'm just gonna spell Jerry with a G or something like that."
A G and an I.
And I don't know what it was about his delivery of those lines. It felt very authentic and real, like he was breaking character. Yeah.
And I think George throws him out of the car.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's when he gets like attacked for wearing stupid cowboy boots or something.
Yeah, because he would have bought a different car. He only bought this one because of John Voight.
Yeah.
Because he thought it was cool to have John Voight's car.
Right.
But also, there's a pencil in the glove compartment with some bite marks from like somebody was chewing on the pencil. So he assumes, oh, that must be John Voight's pencils. So he wants to compare the bite marks to
a bite that he gets on his arm.
Well, that Kramer gets on his arm.
Kramer gets on his arm from John Voight.
Kramer actually runs into John Voight.
How many things from this episode are they really like built? Like when they make these episodes, how many like I guess note cards or whatever they like? Let's take these 8 unrelated things and we have to relate all of them back together because it does it so perfectly.
It's impressive. It's really impressive. But yeah, Kramer runs into John Voight at one point. John Voight thinks that Kramer is trying to mug him, so he bites his arm. So he's got bite marks on his arm from John Voight, and they need to compare these bite marks in Kramer's arm to the pencil.
And Tim Watley's a dentist.
Tim Watley, or one of his dentist friends at the party. So it all kind of comes together. Things kind of culminate at Tim Watley's party.
Yes.
Do we have anything else to say about
Well,
this
there's other stuff going on with Elaine's boss who is like holding one of the balloons that ends up getting deflated because they knock some stuff out the window.
Pitt, I think when she's like a personal assistant for this old man.
Yeah, not the dog show guy.
Yeah.
Which is another Thanksgiving tradition as well.
Yeah.
What's the dog show guy's name?
I don't remember.
Jay Peterman in the series. But
yeah.
I forget what his real name is. John something. Gosh.
I don't know.
Well, he's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hey, are those all the episodes?
Those are all the episodes.
Oh,
so you
man.
guys, you can throw those on while you're like cooking.
Throw them on.
Thanksgiving dinner. They're all streaming.
I wish that Netflix let you make a playlist of
family
episodes.
is arriving. These are fun things to have on.
They really are. Look, if you're like,
the
I don't know what to put on the TV when my family's coming over, you throw on Hulu, you throw on season 6, episode 8, the mom and pop store, people come over, everybody loves Seinfeld.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be like, I don't remember this Seinfeld episode with Thanksgiving. And then you just let it play. Mm-hmm. Everybody's watching Seinfeld. They're all happy. They're all taken care of. They're having some snacks, having some chips and dip, getting ready. Or you throw on some Fuller House. Everybody says, hey, what's this all about? You know, what's this new reboot here?
Yeah,
because it's always stressful.
Childhood a little bit.
Relive that childhood. It's always stressful trying to figure out what to throw on for Thanksgiving or when family comes over.
And any of these episodes would be a great choice.
Or all of them.
All of them.
You know, you just get that remote ready. You switch it over. You say, here we go with the next one. It's all good stuff. Oh man, you know, and there's so many too that we didn't even talk about. You know, we narrowed it down to 10. I think Mad Men, The Wheel episode sort of takes place. It's sort of Thanksgiving adjacent.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Recently, we did just get Disney Plus. There's a Simpsons Thanksgiving episode. Oh man. Well, hey, next month we're gonna be talking about Christmas episodes.
Yeah.
And holiday. Some of them are just, you know, wintry holiday themed, or maybe they're Jewish and they celebrate Hanukkah. Can you think of any Christmas episodes off the top of your head? We have not prepared this list at all. What are some things we might hear about?
Well, we mentioned we might do a New Girl.
Oh yeah, we mentioned that. Gosh, I don't know. Ooh, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Oh, that for sure.
Their Thanksgiving episode did not make our list. I think that's the one where they end up killing all their friends.
One's pretty violent.
It's pretty dark. I think their apartment burns down with everyone in it. They settle their grudges, I think is the name of the episode.
But no, I do really enjoy the Christmas episode, so that'll be on the list.
Oh man, and who knows? Maybe some other random ones, some things. That,
The Office.
Oh gosh, but which one?
Man.
Benihana, Yankee Swap.
Can we have them both?
Oh
I don't know.
My gosh.
We'll see how things shake out.
This is exciting now. Yeah. And who knows, maybe there'll be some new shows over the next month that'll make our top 10. So that list is not finalized too.
No, it's not.
And we've got The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel season 3 coming out in December. You got to watch out for that. Look, if you haven't watched Maisel, we did an episode on it and you got to watch those 2 seasons.
We're working our way through Limetown right now on Facebook Watch. We'll see.
Are.
I don't think that's going to make my list, but
I don't think it'll make my list, but maybe it'll end really cool. Look, if you don't know how to watch Facebook Watch, you're not alone. But Limetown has been a fine enough show.
It's okay.
Hey, we're kind of working our way through that Paul Rudd show too, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Look, hey, I don't want to be controversial, but maybe 2 Paul Rudds is too many.
Or not enough.
Or
Maybe
not
it's
enough. Maybe we needed 3. Maybe we needed a multiplicity of that.
Maybe everybody in it should be Paul Rudd.
I think that would be better.
Yeah, I
now
think so
that I think
too.
about it, that would be better. So, look, hey, we've got some TV to watch, so we're gonna jump off out of here. But hey, we're so glad you listened. Happy Thanksgiving. Or you know what?
Thanksgiving.
If you're Australian, happy. I don't know what they celebrate over there. If you're Canadian, happy Boxing Day. I don't know when that is.
I don't know,
That's
but
after
I think they
after
have-
Christmas, right? They've got to have Canadian Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Do
They
all
have a
countries have
Canadian
their own Thanksgiving?
I don't know. And I don't know what they're celebrating on their Thanksgiving.
Weird.
Yeah. I don't know. If you're Canadian, tell us.
Tell us. Yeah.
Yeah. And do they
Anyway,
eat the same things?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe. Turkeys probably go all across North America.
Probably.
Look, oh man, we really don't know that much about other cultures.
We should probably quit while we're ahead.
Anyway, look, hey guys, if you could, please follow us on Facebook at You, Me, and TV, or on Twitter at You, Me, and TV Pod, or on Instagram at You, Me, and TV Podcast. And please, look, if you subscribe and give us a review on Apple Podcasts, that would be the coolest thing ever. I love it when I look on there and I see a new review and it's just like, oh, that makes me feel good. We see it and it makes us feel good, unless it's a bad review, and then it makes us feel bad.
It does.
And it's like, why did you do that? I don't know. You didn't
Yeah.
have to do that. There's not that many reviews on there. We're not a popular podcast by relatively, I guess, or by any means. Anyway, though, but review. And if you're not on Apple Podcasts, you don't remember your Apple ID, review it somewhere else, or tell a friend.
Yeah.
Phone a friend.
Yeah.
Tell your family at Thanksgiving when they say, hey, what have you been up to lately? Say, I've been listening to this podcast, actually. It's a couple. They're very charming. And they talk about TV.
Show all of the adults in your family how to listen to podcasts.
Yeah.
I mean, we're adults, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, the older
adults.
Yeah, the adults. The
grown-up ones.
The people at the grown-up table.
Yeah.
I think I feel like I sat at the kids' table last year at our own house at Thanksgiving.
You might have.
I think I did. I think I did. And I have a kid. I mean, we have a
Right,
kid.
yeah.
He didn't sit at a table. I think he came to the table later on, but
Yeah. Well, I don't think it was specifically a kids' table. It was just the smaller
it
of the
was
two
all,
tables.
but there were all kids at it. Yeah. I mean, not little kids, but
Yeah.
we were the younger of the people.
Yeah.
Look, I'm rambling on. We got turkeys to eat. We got stuffing to eat. It's not actually Thanksgiving.
No.
Yeah, you got time.
Might eat some popcorn or something.
I think,
but-
you know what, I'm going to eat some popcorn. I'm going to watch a little bit of TV. And look, I think that's everything.
Yeah.
Bye.